Hi Taurus, welcome to your November 2018 Tarology 33 reading. As always, we have the Celtic cross spread in front of us. Normally that's 10 cards, but you got an extra card in the position of the foundation, 2 extra cards in the past position, and 2 extra cards in the environment's influence on the situation. So a lot of messages to get through, but seems somewhat of a clear story already. But we'll see as we go through the cards one by one how it plays out. So starting with the main situation, we have the Nine of Cups. So the generic way that this card will often be described is as the wished card. To me, it's not necessarily as much about wish fulfillment as much as just being receptive, and sometimes that receptivity can bring good things to you. And you guys, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and that's very much a planet of receptivity. And so, maybe you're just in that energy right now. But I mean, it's definitely a good card to have without a doubt. And the only negative side to it can be is potentially being a little smug and stubborn on the downside. So if we look at it a little bit closer, you look at their face, they have their arms crossed, like feeling like, all right, well, I know what I bring to the table. I don't have to put in any effort whatsoever, right? So that could be the negative way that plays out. For most of you, I don't think that's going to be the case, though, because it is in the upright. So for the majority of you, I just feel like, you're in that energy of receptivity, and, you feel like you're close to having everything you want, but not quite everything. And the reason I say that is because in the challenge position, we have another good card, which is the Ten of Cups. So, this card is basically having everything you want, right? I mean, to a certain extent. But what I feel is that with this being in the challenge position, with the 9 as the main situation, my thought is you might be feeling stuck in a way. You're so close to having everything you want with the 9, but the obstacle is getting to the 10, right? So you might feel like you're so close, but, why are you stuck at that 9 energy? You can't get to the 10. That's the way that I feel this is playing out for the vast majority of you. And if that's the case too, I will point out Venus, which is your ruler, is retrograde right now and in your opposite sign. So, it wouldn't be out of the question to think that you might feel a little bit stuck right now with your ruler moving backwards in your opposite sign. I'm recording this on the 21st of October, and there's actually going to be a full moon in your sign coming up, I think the 24th to 25th, pretty sure it's the 25th. And that's going to be a pretty intense full moon where it's going to be conjunct Uranus in your sign, opposite Venus, which is your ruler, and that's retrograde, and it's going to be square to north and south node. So that's a lot of intense energy there. So you might feel a shift at that point, or at the very least, that might even be what brings to light to you, why you may be stuck, or that feeling of being stuck more so than you feel it right now. In the foundation position, we have 2 cards. We have the Queen of Wands, and we have the Sun card. So this could be playing out a few different ways. This is usually my court card for Aries. Some people refer to this as the card for Leo, since it's, Leo is ruled by the sun. But usually I see the Strength card as the Leo card. I think this just represents the energy more than anything. So to me, this could be someone. I feel that this is another person rather than you, and not just because it's Wand energy, but I feel that this is someone that you've either known for a long time, with the Sun card there, or for example, maybe you've known them since childhood. Or another way it could play out is when you're around them, maybe they make you feel this way. They make you feel like a kid. And then for some of you, which a lot less likely, but for some of you, that might be a downside, right? They may make you feel diminished when you're around them, because I see the Page of Pentacles in the near future position. So that might be the way you're feeling inside. And then when you're around this person who would represent that Queen energy, you might feel, you know, like you don't have enough to offer. But with the sun in the upright, I think this is mainly positive to say this is either someone you've known for a long time, someone that makes you feel this way, like a kid again when you're around them, or this could just be saying that maybe if this is just a general event, this is something that's been in play since the time the sun was in Aries last. So, you know, the end of March and first 20 or so days of April. Maybe that's when, you know, you've been feeling this Nine of Cups energy and feeling like you can't get past it. That's a possibility, since it's in a foundation. In the past position, we have the Two of Cups. Looks like a good start, right? But then from there, we go to the Two of Swords, and then the Ten of Swords. So pretty much just something looking good on the surface, right? But underneath, not so good. So that could just be a message in of itself. You know, maybe something that looked this way on the surface, you found out eventually wasn't good at all. That's certainly a possibility. But how I'm seeing this actually with the context of the other cards around it is either you or someone else made a love offer with the Two of Cups, especially with all the cups we have in this part of the reading. The other person, whether they made an offer to you or vice versa, whoever had the offer made to them was in this energy. They were indecisive about, okay, should I accept the offer? Should I not accept the offer, right? If you look, they have their back to the water. The water could represent emotions. The moon could also represent emotions. So, you know, they totally turned their back on their feelings in this regard and were just really trying to strictly think about it and in the terms of logic. And then that could have resulted in that Ten of Swords energy. You know, I mean, if we look at, this is a Libra card also, so for some of you this could also be saying that this was something that took place at the end of September, right when the sun got into Libra, since it's the first 10 degrees of Libra. So maybe at the end of September, someone might have come forward to you with a love offer, right? Maybe they reached out again, whatever the case may be. You weren't sure how you felt about it. And then through that, Ten of Swords energy popped up. That's one way I see it, but I actually see that that's the most likely way that it played out. I just can't tell for sure yet who made the offer and who was indecisive about it. And then if both of you ended up feeling this Ten of Swords energy, or if, you know, the person whose offer was declined felt that way, I mean, certainly it's more likely they would, but it's possible both of you could ended up feeling that way. If it was something that you did want, but you just took too long, or they wanted, but they took too long to decide. So that's what I'm seeing at play there. But we'll see as we go along how it's going to play out. All right. In the present position, we have the Ace of Cups. So this could obviously be a symbol for a love offer. And it won't focus. There we go. Could be a symbol of a love offer being made. Again, whether that's you making it to someone or someone making it to you, I'm not 100% sure. But keep in mind, the way I look at the Ace energy versus, let's say, a page, you know, if it was the Page of Cups, they would have this cup in their hand. So that would, to me, represent a tangible offer being made. But when it's the Ace, it could just be an idea. So maybe you might be thinking of reconnecting with this person, for example. Let's say they extended the love offer to you, you declined it, or, you know, were just taking too long to make a decision, so they took it as rejection and moved on. And, you know, you hadn't gotten closure with that. The reason I say that is, again, with Venus being retrograde right now, a lot of people are feeling that kind of energy. And for you specifically, with it in your opposite sign right now, and you're ruled by Venus, it wouldn't be a stretch at all to think that that's the dynamic at play here. So you might be thinking of reaching out to them again. And, you know, another way to look at this as well is if you're at the Nine of Cups now, if this is what comes to you, you know, if this offer comes to you or you extend it to someone else, that could be what finally gets you over that hump to the Ten of Cups. For some of you too, I do have to say that when I see the Ace of Cups, sometimes a thought that comes to my mind is pregnancy, just from the symbolism of the card. So if that's something you guys are looking forward to, then by all means. Looks like there will be some support for that, but if you're not looking for that right now in your life, you might want to take precautions in that area without getting too graphic and specific. But yeah, so that's how I see this playing out. Like I said, the only thing that's a little unclear to me is if you're making this offer to someone or if someone's making it to you. I'm leaning a little bit towards it might be you making the offer though. But in the near future position, we have the Page of Pentacles. So similar to what I was just saying with the Ace versus Page, this would be to me an actual offer of stability. You know, it's what I always say with the pages that stick out to me is if you look at their stance, right, they don't look overly confident. It's like he kind of has 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and they don't really have a firm grasp of the pentacle. You know, like let me just grab this card for a second. Like if we look at the Queen of Pentacles, she seems a lot more sure of herself as far as she has a firm grasp of the pentacle. It's in her lap. She knows that it's hers, right? She owns it. Whereas with the Page, it's like, you know, they like, kind of have their hand on it, like, oh yeah, and then you look at their stance. So it could just be an offer, a bit of a clumsy offer, you know. So a few ways it could play out is, let's say that someone makes the love offer to you, right? And maybe you're still a little bit hurt by the way it played out in the past, and so you might say, well, you know, I don't know about that, but hey, maybe we could, you know, go out for dinner or something, you know, something more casual, right? To just test the waters in a way. Or if you're the one who makes that love offer, they might take that energy towards you. But I really feel that it's you making the offer, because if I look at the Page, it looks like they're looking in the direction of this card and the Pentacles moving in that direction, which to me would say that this is the card that represents the environment. So that's why I feel like, you know, this is probably you making an offer to this person. So in the present, or rather in your influence on the situation position, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So there's a few different ways I see this energy playing out. This is actually a Taurus card for me, for one. It actually represents the last 10 degrees of Taurus. So for those of you who were born, let's say, between around the 10th and 20th of May, this could be the way you're feeling right now. But anyone with whatever your Taurus placement may be. To me, this energy, I look at it as an energy of comparison. You know, if you look at the look on their face, they might be, you know, this might be someone else's pentacles, and they might be thinking, well, I've been putting in work too, you know, I've been putting in the time just like them. Why do I only have 1 pentacle? They have 6. Another way it could play out is, you know, you might feel like you're just reflecting on, you know, how long it took you to get those 6, and now you're like feeling tired right now, and all you have is 1 more to show for it, right? So you might be considering, is it worth putting in the work? And people always think money with Venus, people always think love with Venus, but Venus also represents money as well. So this could be 2 separate issues. You know, you might feel like, all right, your love life is finally falling into place, but now you're worrying about your finances, right? You might feel like you're behind in some way. But for most of you, I feel I'm really getting primarily the energy that you're comparing yourself to others in a negative way and not seeing yourself clearly in that regard. And again, with your ruler in retrograde and that intense full moon energy coming up, that could very well be at play. And if that's the case, you know, that energy should clear up. If it doesn't clear up with this full moon and then the new moon coming up in Scorpio in the middle of November, by December, like mid-December, Venus will not only be out of retrograde by then, but it'll be out of shadow. So, you know, might just be the way you're feeling for this month, not anything too long term, if that is how you feel at all. But in the environment position, we have 3 cards, and this is where things get a little bit more interesting for me. I have the Emperor. So this is actually my major arcana card for Aries. So if we think about the Queen of Wands, like I said, being my court card for Aries, and then this is the major arcana for it, we'll come back to why that's important to me in a second. We also have the Hermit, which this is a major arcana card for Virgo. And we have the Four of Pentacles. And this is a Capricorn card, actually, for me, the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. But seeing these 3 cards together, the message I'm getting is, let's say you made the offer to someone, right? And remember I was saying before, in a good way, maybe when you're with this person, they make you feel like a kid. Sometimes that could be a good thing. They make you laugh. They're always joking around with you. You have a good time together. You feel like you're able to move out of that Seven of Pentacles energy, right, and actually kick back and enjoy yourself. That's one way it could play out. But on the downside, you might just feel intimidated by them in a way, as far as you might feel like they're ahead of you in some way. So, you might not feel like they're on your level in that regard, like they're out of your league in a way, so that could be what this is saying too, that through you making that offer to this person, this is how you feel compared to them, okay, they're the Emperor, I'm just a page, as opposed to at least a king like them, or a queen, right? So, and the reason I say that too is because in the hopes or fears position, if I could get the card, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So to me, this is saying that you're hoping to be in that energy. That's an energy of stability, receptivity, feeling financial abundance, So I feel that that's really what it is. You might feel like you're just always behind this person. But if that's the case, one thing you need to keep in mind, and especially if you make an offer to them, right? And like I said, one way it could play out, you make an offer to them, a love offer, and they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe we could, grab dinner or something, or go out for a couple drinks and talk. But, it feels like they're stonewalling you a little bit, whereas you're, making this passionate offer. Again, I just feel that as being with the full moon energy, it's going to be a pretty intense last week of October. So even though this is the present, meaning it would be right at November, you could just still have the energy on the table, obviously, no pun intended. But the way I'm seeing this, the Emperor, it's like this is how they might come across to you when you make the offer, especially because let's keep in context that if they made this offer to you initially, right, they were the ones who made the offer to you. You came across like, oh, I don't know, you're just very indecisive. And even though you might have felt something, you turned your back on it and tried to think to yourself, well, does this logically make sense, right? And then the end result of that being that it could have been them who felt that Ten of Swords energy. I mean, look at the red robe there, right? And we see the red here. So it could have been them that felt that way, even if that wasn't your intention, because let's say whether they're a fire sign or not, if they just embody that fire energy compared to earth energy, they might have made a very passionate offer to you, right? And, you were thinking to yourself, well, okay, yeah, I feel something too, but as far as stability goes, is this the right move for me? So you might have been analyzing it from that angle. And then, fire signs with that passion, they also want to move faster typically than earth signs want to move. So just from things taking so long, you feeling indecisive, they might have been hurt by that, which would be the where that Ten of Swords energy comes into play. And then if that's what happened, we look at the Emperor, one thing that sticks out is they have that armor on, right? So maybe you extend the offer to them, they still have their guard up, so that could be what's happening. And if that's the case, don't take it as rejection necessarily, but just know that if that's the case, it's because they're thinking it over. They're really thinking about it. Because if we look at the way these 2 cards look, right, it looks like they're shining their light on the offer. They're looking at that and seeing, okay, do I want to move forward with this? Because even though they're totally separate energies, we could see some similarities, right? They have the beard. This guy has the beard, so they could be older too, and that could be what even makes you feel intimidated. Just the age difference. You might feel like they're further ahead in life than you are. But if that's the case, just know they're thinking it over, and underneath it all, they're just feeling blocked off right now themselves. And this could be saying that, okay, they'll let that armor off, and they might still be a little closed off. But with the Pentacles energy here, to me, it could be saying that they're meeting you on your level to a certain extent, Like, okay, let me put my armor down, and I'm, still going to be a little closed off, but at least I'll try to meet them on their level. Not to say, diminishing in any way, but just to say, all right, Pentacles and Pentacles matching up there, trying to approach things from your angle. And the reason I'm getting that vibe too, on top of everything else, is with the Justice card at the bottom of the deck. Again, that could just be pointing to the Libra, the fact that the sun was in Libra, and maybe that's when all of these things went into play. But the Justice card is also about balance too. And if you listen to the story the way that it's played out so far, and the way I'm seeing it at least, is like, if they were the one putting in the effort in the past, right, and you were the one that was indecisive, and, it caused them to be hurt, it's not to say that Justice is here to make sure that now they return the favor to you, that now you're the one putting in the work, and they're going to be the ones who, make sure you're hurt. But just to say, okay, if nothing else, it's for you to at least understand how they felt, right? Maybe because you wait for them to get back to you the way that they were waiting, maybe now you might see, oh, okay, yeah, kind of doesn't feel very good, right? Especially with the Seven of Pentacles here, this might be feeling, how you're feeling, like, oh, I'm putting in so much work on this. They're not budging, what's going on. And like I said, we already covered the Queen of Pentacles. This is just a hope or fear. Clearly to me, in this reading anyway, I'm seeing it as a hope, which is to say you want to be in that position of abundance, or at least to feel that way. Like I said, if for whatever reason when you're around this person you get intimidated and you feel diminished, you might just want to feel more confident like that. That could be how that's playing out. And then the outcome position, we have the Four of Cups. All right, there we go. So the way that I see this card playing out, it could be a couple of things. It's not to say you're going to go from 9 being so close to having everything you want, right? So close to the 10, and then you're going to get knocked down to 4. That's not what it's saying to me at all. Given the fact that this is the 4 and so is this, I'm leaning more towards this might be the other person. So to me, sometimes what this Four of Cups energy can represent is that, they got the 3 cups. They don't look happy with them, so what makes you think offering them a 4th one is going to make them happy, right? So the way I would read that is to say, if you extended that offer to them this month, whatever way, maybe you offer to go out to dinner with them, or you call them and tell them how you feel, right? Whatever the case may be, send them a text, however you guys communicate this feeling to them. Don't pile on, as far as give them time. I don't necessarily think that that it's not that they're unhappy with the offer, which I normally would get that energy with this card, but just to say that you got to give them time to think about it, and just throwing more cups their way, which is to say, okay, you send them a message, you email them, like I said, you call them, leave them a voicemail, whatever the case may be. If you make that communication and they don't seem to budge, just let it sit for a bit, rather than continuing to, all right, they didn't answer, well, let me call again, let me send them another message, you know what I mean? Because what can happen there is then that can make the situation worse. I just feel that, especially if they were the ones that were turned down in the past, it's not that they're against it, it's just that, again, that they were a little hurt by it, and now they're a little closed off, and they're trying to decide if they want to come out of that. And with Venus retrograde too, it might take until, like I said, December really for the energy to fully clear out. So, this might just be how, and that might be why this is in the outcome position. That might just be the energy at play. But again, with justice at the bottom of the deck, the point to me would be is that it will be fair, whatever ends up happening. So, whether it was just a karmic lesson that you needed for closure, that's certainly one possibility. For others of you, if you are meant to reconnect, like I said, it could just be that, for you to see things from their shoes. And likewise, them, like I said, move into that Pentacles energy, they'll see it from yours as well. So, you might just have to give it time if that's the case. All right. And we'll look at the Oracle card. So the Oracle card you got was the Tribe. There's the artwork for it. And the number is 8, if that has any significance for you. Let me get the book. We'll look at the messages and wrap up. All right. It says essential meanings: community, belonging, being seen and understood by others, like-minded connections, a sense of family and friendship, knowing your place in the world. The Oracle's message: this card signals a new affiliation with a group. Humans are social creatures, and we need to know we are useful to our tribes, families, and communities. In a tribe, everyone has an important function and feels, I matter. Membership in the group provides a sense of belonging, of kinship, and of purpose that comes from working together for the greater fulfillment of all. Perhaps you are part of a spiritual community or an artistic one. Perhaps you are in a learning community where you share your love of education. Regardless of its form or focus, your community brings you joy. You will be inspired by it and want to contribute to it. Your contribution may be as small as showing up or as large as becoming its leader. No matter your position in the tribe, your presence is needed. So that part, well, the whole message resonated with me, but the one part that sticks out the most was the no matter your position in the tribe, your presence is needed. So that could be, again, like I said, if this is someone you're around where you feel diminished around them for whatever reason, because you might feel that they're at a higher status of you or whatever, you can't compare yourself to them in that way. You know what I mean? That's fine. You have your role, they have their role. Don't lessen the way you feel about yourself just because they're doing something different, And likewise, if I know I didn't, this seemed like a relationship just because of all the cups in this area here, but, if it was another area of life too. If you're in a job where you're wondering, is the work I'm putting in recognized? Is it appreciated? To me, with the Justice card at the bottom of the deck, that's saying it is appreciated and it is needed, and maybe you're not seeing that right now, and maybe this is a boss, for example, right? Maybe this is a boss that is just very closed off. If this is a work thing, they might feel very authoritative, right, with this Emperor energy. That's how they might come across. But at the same time, with the Hermit here, they do see the effort you're putting in. They're looking right at what you're doing, so they know it. And it could just be that they're closed off. And with this energy too, that Four of Pentacles, it could just be saying that they're thinking too. So this could be saying, they're thinking about, because I always say that, he has the coin on his head there. They're thinking about investing their money. So, it could be that maybe they seem like they're not appreciative of what you're doing, but they could be considering giving you a raise, or they just might feel like they're in a position of lack, which makes them feel that way. Relationship message, it says you're discovering the essential qualities that you share with another, and perhaps also those you don't share. There are times when you follow and the other person leads, and times when you lead and the other follows. The appearance of this card points to the importance of learning the proper dance between you and another, accepting the truth that everyone has flaws and is part of that dance. Yet you are also being asked to be aware of the dynamics that you don't want to repeat. You're in the perfect place to make changes in order to experience the best version of who you can be together. So, the main takeaway I got from that message is, if you remember what I was saying, it's almost like the tables have turned in a way. Like if they were the ones who put in the effort and made the offer in the past, and they felt like they were doing all the work, you were being indecisive, they felt hurt by it. Now that you're the one putting in the effort, trying to reconcile, they might feel closed off because, the Four of Pentacles and Two of Swords aren't completely different energies. They're energies of feeling stuck in some way. That's the definite similarity they share. So if you think of it from that perspective, it's to say, okay, well, now you understand that, at that time they were supposed to be putting in more effort. Now you might have to put in a little more effort, but eventually, with the Justice card at the bottom of the deck, the scales will balance. And that might be what the lesson was for both of you, to realize, maybe you needed to realize, oh, okay, they actually were putting in effort, just in their own way, right? That fiery energy, whereas you're an earth energy. So they might have been making, like I said, a passionate offer. It might have came out of the blue, seemed very sudden. And you're more of, okay, well, yeah, the passion and everything is cool, but, what are we building as far as stability goes, right? So you just might add different approaches from it. And this is saying, you're realizing your similarities and your differences, and realizing that, hey, they're both needed. It's not about what's better, what's worse. It's about trying to integrate those two. All right, and the prosperity message says, whenever you're in a community of like-minded others, there's a powerful opportunity to reap great abundance. It's essential to ask, what can I contribute, rather than what can I get from this? Figure out a need and look to fill it. Something meaningful will manifest. Even if what manifests is small, it's a sign that the doors of opportunity will swing open wider. There is also another meaning to this card to consider. Don't try to be all things to all people. Choose your role and be true to it, and serve from a sense of authenticity. There is no greater feeling of accomplishment than knowing you have purpose. So what comes to my mind there is, I think the message for you guys last month was following your own path, right? And I think I had emphasized a similar message in a certain way, as far as saying, being true to yourself. And like I said, Uranus transiting your sign is going to be all about that. That's really what it is. For those of you who are already living your authentic path, you wouldn't feel that Uranus transit too harshly. But for those of you who know you're not really right on the right path, it will hit you a little bit harder. And maybe that full moon energy makes you realize if you are on the right path or not. But I do like the message there, and to me that resonates with the reading as well. Don't try to be all things to all people, right? And choose your role and be true to it. So like I was saying there, if they make you feel diminished in some way, don't try to be in the role that they're in. Don't try to say, oh, I have to step up to their level. Just understand, do what you're doing. And this could also be saying that on the outside they show you this, but they might feel this way about around you. They might feel the same way. So there could be a lot of mirroring going on in that regard. They might feel just as intimidated by you as you by them. It's just that you guys are, approaching things from different ways. So, you might be putting each other on pedestals in a negative way to say it, or, you just might be underestimating yourselves. So that's all the messages we have for this month. If you guys are interested in a private reading, you can go to the About section of my channel for more info on that. You can check out my Instagram also, where we have a little bit more fun with the tarot cards. And if not, I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.